All right, diving right in. The Salesforce implementation stuff is pretty intense. We've got marketing brochures, internal strategy docs, oh, and even some storyboarding notes. That's kind of a cool peek behind the scenes.
Yeah, definitely. It seems like you want to know not just about the usual Salesforce headaches, but also this DTC Plus thing.
You got it. DDC Plus is making some noise, and we need to figure out why. But first, it feels like everyone's got a Salesforce implementation horror story. Why is that?
Well, one of your sources actually said over 85% of Salesforce customers struggle with cost overruns and delays.
85%. Wow, that's a ton.
Yeah, it's wild. And a lot of these issues come up before the project even starts.
Oh, interesting. Like what?
Unclear goals.
Yeah.
Companies start implementing before they really understand how Salesforce fits their needs.
Ah, I see. So it's like building a skyscraper with no blueprint. What could go wrong? Right.
Right. And then there's the complexity of it all. Salesforce is powerful, but it's not like you just plug it in and go.
I bet. What do companies tend to underestimate?
Well, a lot of things. Like how hard it can be to sync up old systems,
Right.
or even just setting up those specific approval workflows.
Makes sense.
It's tricky, and timelines and budgets can explode. Plus, finding the right people to even do the work, that's a whole other problem.
Yeah, certified Salesforce people are in high demand, right?
Huge demand.
Right.
Salaries for a single admin can be like $85,000 to $120,000.
Seriously. Ouch. That's gonna be tough for a smaller company. So, okay, let's say you somehow get past that initial pain. You got the budget, the vision, the team. Are you good to go?
Not really.
Oh no, what now?
One of the biggest problems is people just not using the system.
Really? But why? I mean, you spent all this time and money getting it set up.
Yeah, but if you don't train your team right or it's too hard to use, they just won't use it.
Wow.
And over 60% of companies, get this, they don't see any return on their Salesforce investment.
All that for nothing.
It happens a lot. And a big reason is just this, people not using the system. Plus, bad data can totally wreck things.
That.
Yeah, if your data's messed up from the start, well, good luck getting anything useful out of it.
So that means,
Reports are skewed, projections are off. You're basically making decisions in the dark.
yikes. Okay, so the initial setup can be a nightmare, but then just keeping it running is expensive too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Keeping the system up and running can cost $35,000 a year or more.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, and it gets worse. The more your business grows and needs more features, the more it costs. That points to another problem. Traditional Salesforce implementations, they don't really grow with you.
So they're kind of stuck in the past.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay, so we've definitely established that this has historically been a problem. But before we all just give up on Salesforce, you were saying things are changing, right? Tech is getting better.
Yeah, definitely. There are some really cool things happening, like AI and automation. That's changing everything.
Okay, now we're talking. Give me an example.
Sure. There's this tool, Einstein GPT. It's being used in healthcare. It actually predicts what patients need and automates communication.
Hold on. Is that AI like actually understanding what patients are saying and then responding the right way?
Yeah, exactly. It analyzes everything. Patient history, their current situation, even how they're feeling.
Yeah.
And then it creates messages just for them.
That's wild. So it's not like those annoying chatbots with the same generic responses over and over. This is real AI getting what people are actually saying.
You got it. And then there's Salesforce Genie. This thing can integrate data from, like, everywhere.
What do you mean?
So imagine you can instantly change a customer's experience based on their past purchases, what they're looking at online, even where they are at that moment.
That's insane. Almost like something from a sci-fi movie.
It's pretty cool. Salesforce is becoming less like, well, a regular system
Yeah,
and more like something that learns and changes all the time.
I like that. It's alive. But it's not just about being fancy and personalized, right? These AI tools, they're also making things more efficient in lots of different industries.
Exactly. Like finance, manufacturing, hospitality, there's this thing called flow orchestration, which is streamlining those really complicated financial processes.
Okay, can you give me an example?
So like loan approvals or fraud detection, it's cutting down on human errors and speeding up transactions.
So AI and automation are basically changing the whole game. They're not just little add-ons anymore.
Exactly. And that brings us back to DTC Plus, which is really pushing this new way of doing Salesforce implementation.
Okay, so let's talk about DTC Plus Code. From what I've seen, they say they're doing implementation as a service, this IaaS thing. But what does that even mean?
So they're saying they could do unlimited Salesforce implementations and configurations, but you pay a fixed monthly fee.
Unlimited. That sounds pretty wild considering what we just talked about, the complexity and all the costs.
Yeah, it's a big claim.
So no more like getting hit with surprise bills from consultants or
hmm
worrying if a small change is going to cost a fortune.
That's what they're saying. They really highlight unlimited requests and instant help from their team of experts.
A whole team. How many experts are we talking here?
They say they've got over 200 certifications across their whole team, covering every part of Salesforce you can think of. Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, you name it. Even CPQ and Field Service Lightning.
Wait, hold on. So they're saying you could have this whole team of Salesforce pros ready to go whenever you need them.
That's the idea. And they're big on flexibility. So whether you need a tiny update or like a major system overhaul, they say they can do it all.
Okay, that's pretty impressive. What about integrations with other systems? That can be a real headache. How does DDC Plus deal with that?
Well, they're honest about the fact that the actual licenses and setting up those other tools, that costs extra, but they do say they handle the integration process itself.
So it's kind of like having a general contractor who manages all the subcontractors, but you still pay for the materials, right?
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
Yeah,
They're the experts connecting the dots, but the dots themselves, that's on you.
fair enough. But let's be real. Unlimited anything usually means a hefty price tag.
It's interesting, though. Their pricing is based on what level of Salesforce license you have.
So how much are we talking?
Well, if you've got, say, 1 to 24 Salesforce licenses, it starts at $99.29 a month. And they're really pushing that onboarding is free.
So you could potentially be swapping that, what was it, $120,000 a year admin salary for a whole team of experts for much less.
You could, but, we got to see how it all actually works in real life.
Definitely. But first, let's talk about you, the listener, for a sec. You've been giving us all this info, so clearly you're looking for answers that work for you. How would this whole DTC Plus thing actually help you right now? Would having all these experts change how you approach Salesforce? What parts of this stand out to you?
Those are all great questions to think about. But remember, they're still pretty new, and we're mostly looking at their marketing stuff right now.
Right. Got to be a little skeptical. That's important.
Always. But even if DTC Plus isn't the perfect answer, it shows how Salesforce is changing. It's all becoming more flexible and accessible.
And that's definitely something worth exploring more. So what else is changing? What other trends are you seeing in the Salesforce world? And what does that mean for someone like you, the listener?
One big shift is moving away from that big bang implementation,
Oh, you mean where you spend like a year building this super customized system, and by the time it's ready, it's already outdated?
Exactly. It's like the waterfall method. Super rigid. Any little change messes up the whole timeline.
Yeah, in today's world, you've got to be able to move fast.
For sure. So now it's all about being agile, building things in smaller chunks, and constantly testing and adapting as you go.
So less set it and forget it, and more always be tweaking.
You got it. And that ties into the whole low-code and no-code platform thing.
Oh, yeah, those are getting popular.
They are. And they're giving regular business users the power to build and change Salesforce apps themselves.
Wait, really? Even if they don't know how to code?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Which actually reminds me, remember those storyboarding notes you mentioned?
Right.
Well, they talked about using tools like Salesforce Flow and Lightning Web Components to make things easier so they can build things faster, and their clients can make small changes themselves.
So it's not just DTC Plus doing everything for you. They're giving you the tools to kind of take control yourself.
Exactly. They're doing the hard stuff, but you're not totally helpless. You still have some control over your system.
I like that. It's like having a personal trainer. They push you, but they also teach you how to do things on your own.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And this whole empowerment thing goes hand in hand with the citizen developer trend.
Citizen developer. Is that like some Salesforce superhero?
Sort of. It's just regular people who are using these low-code platforms and online resources to do stuff that used to be only for IT people.
So they're like breaking down the walls between IT and everyone else.
Exactly. And think about what that means for you, the listener. Imagine people in your sales, marketing, or customer service teams actually building Salesforce apps.
That would be amazing. IT could focus on the really complicated stuff and everyone else could handle their own needs.
Exactly. It's about creating a culture where everyone can be more innovative and agile.
Okay, so we've got agility, citizen developers, empowerment. What else is going on in the Salesforce world?
Oh, hyper-personalization is huge right now.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that a bit with Salesforce Genie, giving customers that feeling of, you just get me.
Right. And this is all thanks to AI and machine learning. We can collect tons of data about customers and use it in real time.
So no more generic marketing blasts that don't really speak to anyone.
Nope. Companies are realizing that to keep customers happy and coming back, they need to create unique experiences for each person.
And Salesforce is the tool that makes that happen.
Exactly. Connects all the dots.
Yeah.
Your customer data, your marketing, your sales process, customer service, everything. Creates a smooth and personalized journey for each customer.
Okay, hyper-personalization is definitely a big one. What else is on your radar?
Another trend is integrating Salesforce with other cool new technologies like AR and VR.
Wait, AR and VR in Salesforce? That sounds futuristic.
It is. Imagine using AR to show a customer real-time data about a product during a sales pitch, or VR for training your employees. It's like they're really there.
Okay, that's pretty mind-blowing. So Salesforce isn't just a CRM anymore. It's like a platform for, like, everything.
Exactly. And here's a key takeaway. Implementing Salesforce isn't just about setting up the system. It's about how it fits into your whole digital transformation strategy.
So it's a business decision, not just a tech decision.
You got it. And that's where the right partner can be so important. Whether you go traditional, agile, or something like DTC plus play, you need someone who really gets your goals, your industry, and your long-term vision.
So don't just look at technical skills. You need a partner who can think strategically, someone you can really trust.
Exactly. And that brings us back to DTC plus play. They might be new, but their model reflects a lot of what we've been talking about. They're agile, accessible, they focus on customer success.
Right. We've covered a lot, but I want to go back to that unlimited thing DTC Plus keeps talking about. Unlimited implementations, configurations. It almost seems too good to be true. Are there any catches we should know about?
Good question. They say unlimited requests, but there are probably some limits based on which Salesforce license you have.
Ah, so the more you pay, the more you get.
Probably. It's like those software subscriptions where you unlock more features at higher levels.
Makes sense. It's like a buffet. You can eat all you want, but what's available depends on how much you paid.
Exactly. And another thing, DTC Plus handles all the Salesforce setup and stuff, but they don't deal with your actual data.
So even with DTC Plus 2, you still have to make sure your data is clean and organized.
Absolutely. Good data is the foundation for everything.
You know, one thing I'm thinking about is how DTC Plus could really help smaller companies. In the past, they might not have been able to afford a dedicated Salesforce person. But with DTC Plus through, they could have this whole team of experts for a pretty reasonable monthly fee.
That's a really good point. DTC Plus could make things a lot fairer for smaller businesses so they can compete with the big guys.
It's almost like they're making Salesforce expertise available to everyone.
Yeah, that's a pretty exciting idea.
But let's not get too carried away just yet. We need to think about the possible downsides, too. No solution is perfect.
True. We need to weigh the good and the bad before making any decisions. And that's what we'll talk about next. It's important to see both sides.
All right, so we've talked about all the cool things happening in Salesforce, but like you said, there's no perfect solution. What about DTC Plus? What could go wrong there?
One thing is, you could become too reliant on them.
Oh, I see what you mean. Like if DTC Plus is handling everything, your own team might lose some of their Salesforce skills.
Exactly. It's convenient at first, but in the long run, it might not be good for your team's knowledge.
Right. You don't want to outsource all your thinking. So how do you find that balance?
Well, you got to make sure your team is learning from DTC Plus, not just letting them do everything. And another thing, transparency is important.
Transparency.
Yeah, if DTC Plus is doing so much behind the scenes, you might not really understand how things are set up.
Ah, so if something breaks, you're kind of stuck.
Right.
Yeah.
You need to be able to fix things yourself sometimes. So good documentation and training are key. You got to understand your own systems, not just rely on DTC Plus to do everything.
You know, one thing that jumped out at me from those DTC Plus materials, they really talk about customer success. It's like they're not just some outside vendor. They want to be part of your team.
Yeah, and that's a big difference. A good partner doesn't just do their job and leave. They actually care about your success.
So it's more than just a business transaction. It's about working together like you're both on the same side.
Exactly. That's how you really get value out of a partnership.
Okay, so we've covered the good and the bad and how things are changing. But let's zoom out for a sec. What does all this, the DTC Plus model, AI, automation, what does it tell us about where Salesforce is going?
I think it means Salesforce is becoming easier to use, more flexible. And it's not just a separate thing anymore. It's becoming part of how businesses actually run.
So it's not just about the tech itself, it's about using it to be more strategic.
Exactly. It's about helping companies achieve their goals, no matter how big or small they are or how tech savvy they are.
All right, we've covered a lot today, but I want to make sure you, the listener, are walking away with some real takeaways. You've been giving us all this info to dig into. You're clearly ready to make some decisions. So, what are the key things to remember?
Well, first, know what you want. What are you trying to get out of Salesforce? More sales, happier customers, smoother processes.
Right, because if you don't have a goal, you're just wandering around aimlessly.
Exactly. Once you know where you're going, look at your data. Is it good quality, clean, organized?
Garbage in, garbage out, right?
Right. No matter who's doing your implementation, good data is crucial. And then think about your team. Can they handle Salesforce themselves? Or do you need some help? If you need a partner, find one who gets you, understands your business, someone you can really trust.
And don't forget about change management. Implementing Salesforce, it can change how people work. So communication, training, support, that's all super important.
It is. And remember, Salesforce isn't a one-time thing. It's a journey.
Technology changes fast.
Yeah. So stay curious, keep learning, be ready to adapt.
You know, one thing I noticed from your company stuff, especially those internal docs, you guys seem really innovative.
We try to be.
That's great. And that's perfect for Salesforce. Don't be afraid to try new things, explore, see what's possible.
I love that. It's all about diving deep. Just like the deep dive, we're all about exploring new ideas and giving you, the listener, what you need to make smart decisions.
This has been a really interesting conversation, and I hope it's given you some clarity on Salesforce so you can use it to reach your goals. And hey, if you want to know more about DTC plus Verbose, head over to dtcforce.com. But whether you go with them or not, the key is to be smart about your Salesforce implementation.
Yeah.
Think it through, be willing to learn.
It's an exciting time for Salesforce. The possibilities are endless.
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive. We'll be back soon with another deep dive into a topic you care about. Until then, keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep innovating.